Alvin here. I'm based in Singapore. I kind of, crossed from Web 2 to Web 3. Had a very long career in LinkedIn in Web 2. Spent almost 9 years there, and then decided to kind of make the transition into Web 3 about 3 years ago. Since then, it's been awesome, right? Learning a lot about blockchains and all the latest narratives that we'll talk about later. Very quick intro on Bitget Wallet. So it is, to me, the best self-custodial wallet you can find today. Lots of new features which we'll deep dive into it. We started out almost 5 years ago. We were called BitKeep back then. And now, since then, a lot has changed. We went from a very simple asset portfolio management wallet to one that has lots of features, whether it's to do with trading, whether it's to mint inscriptions. We'll dive into all these things later. But, happy to be speaking to all of you today. There's two questions here, right? One is about the wallet industry. The other one is about just the crypto industry in general. I'll tackle the wallet one first. And, it has evolved a lot, really. I mean, if you look at, say, 4 or 5 years ago, wallets were basically just, you would download it, go in, and it would just show you a list of assets that you have, right? And then it will allow you to maybe interact with very simple, browser connections to different dApps, and that's it. If you look at wallets today, it's gotten a lot more competitive, right? On various fronts, right? One is, how do we make the onboarding experience a lot easier, right? And people are talking about account abstraction, people are talking about MPC technologies, basically any way where you can kind of get around, not having to remember like the 12, seed phrases and so on, but just an easier way for people to onboard on the Web3. That's one thing that has massively changed. The other one is then, moving away from just a place where you can manage your assets or look at your assets to one where, how can you grow your asset portfolio? How can you trade as well, right? I think many years ago versus now, you probably have most of the wallets now having native swaps as well. And more functions are coming in, right? For example, staking on Pando or all these, LSTs and so on. So you increasingly find many of these functions which you used to do on dApps now actually being kind of imported into the wallet directly, because the wallet has become a gateway to Web3, and some of the more commonly used functions are in the wallet itself. Yep. The second question then is on significant trends that in the crypto industry. I mean, there's so many. One is as we're speaking, Bitcoin, the bull market, everything is coming back. People are pretty bullish. This year, definitely big themes with Bitcoin halving and Ethereum's Denkun upgrade. And I think one good thing is that many people who have been building resiliently during the bear market are starting to see like things bear fruit, and also starting to find like the timing is right for many things, whether it's like TGE or airdrops or stuff like that. And then you see many new narratives coming up, right? Whether it's like restaking on top of LSTs, whether it's like AI, which has become very hot, parallelized EVMs, tokenization. I can go on, and I think I've seen like 100 different lists of top 10 narratives to look out for this year. But lots of things are looking up. Representing Bitget Wallet here, right, which is obviously part of the Bitget family. And we do analyze like every stage of the user journey, right, all the way from before you have the wallet on your phone to after that, what do you do on the app and so on. And if you take it step by step, right, the first step really is downloading the phone and setting up your first wallet address, right? How do you do so without having to, again, write down your 12-seed phrase, but yet still in a secure manner, right? And obviously, account abstraction is one which we have implemented on some chains. And there is also MPC technology, which has become pretty popular amongst users as well, right? Because it offers like enterprise-grade security, but at the same time, right, because of how the keys are kept, you still ensure that it's safe, but yet you can log in with your user ID, your password, and as well as your face scan, which is good. So one thing is making sure that they can set up a wallet address fairly quickly, under a minute, right? And after that, then when they go into the app, look, Web3 is confusing. I'll be, if I'm not the first to say it, I'll say it. It is complex, right? You go to different sites and you're like, all right, connect my wallet. Well, there's which pool do I use to swap and so on. And we try to make it easy for people. For example, when you go to the swap function within the wallet, right? You want to swap from token A on chain A to token B on chain B. You shouldn't have to decide, all right, which DEX I'm going to use, which liquidity pool, has greater depth and therefore lower fees and so on. And what we've done is we try to aggregate a lot of these functions within the app. For example, we have aggregated across like 100 over DEXs so that we find the best route, right, that gives you the lowest cost. Sometimes we may even split the same order into multiple orders, right, 2 or 3 of them. So in order for you to get like the lowest fees and the best route as it is. So things like this, we have to try to what we call implement intent-based trading or intent-based actions, knowing what they want and solving it for them in the back end. Yeah, I just want to add as well, if I can. So we actually kind of we changed and improvised the UI a bit as well. I think most wallets that you go into, right, the homepage is actually just a list of assets that you have, right, on your wallet address. And we actually made a more daring move. I think we may be the only one or one of very rare wallets where when you go in, the homepage actually shows you what is happening across, the Web3 world, and also what kind of activities you're running. So, for example, you could have certain campaigns where you can earn tokens, right? We show it on the homepage. We show you which are the trending tokens, and in today's bull market, that list changes so often. But at least it gives certain information on, hey, this is hot and trending. And the reason why we're doing this is because when we analyze user behavior, there's so many different categories of them, right? There are some people who want to chase alpha, right? There are short-term traders, long-term hodlers. There are people who like to stake and wait. There are people who also like to earn airdrops. And what we're trying to do is, provide a homepage where, a wallet is no longer just a list of your assets, but it is really a gateway to Web3. In the future, we are hoping to be able to personalize this as well, right? So if you're an airdrop hunter, you could see more information that's relevant for you. And me coming from, the Web2 world, like I think personalization and which probably will be driven by AI next time, is a vital part of that experience. But I just want to emphasize, I'm representing Bitget Wallet, not Bitget. So because a lot of this regulatory stuff will be quite different for the centralized exchange. So just making a note there. I'll give a few because there's so many things that's happening. I mean, you have things like new standards and new innovation. Like the whole Bitcoin ecosystem is coming alive, right? I think in the last cycle you were just talking about like Bitcoin if you're mentioning Bitcoin, but now when you mention Bitcoin, it's a whole ecosystem of, you have your BRC20s and then there's ARC20s, there's Runes protocol, and then there's all these like layer 2s like Merlin coming up as well. That itself, it created a massive ecosystem with a lot of TVL, of course, but also users who are interested in, it's always been like EVMs and then L2s, and then you've got like, ecosystems like Solana, Move ecosystem, and now there's a whole new one where there's a lot more assets, arguably, on it. So we're particularly excited, right? Because when you have a big ecosystem where users are interested, there is a lot of speculation and talk. There is assets and liquidity in it as well. So it's not something which we think is just a fad that's going to go away. Like the whole Bitcoin ecosystem is here to stay. So, and we make efforts to try to kind of help our users gain access to these new ecosystems, and that is actually at the very heart of what we try to do. Right, keeping up with the trends, understanding what's sustainable, and helping our users gain access to opportunities in this. So, for example, we launched a inscription tool. So we are actually one of the very few wallets where users can mint inscriptions directly within our mobile wallet app. Right, it's so easy. And then after that, just connecting to a marketplace to kind of trade it. So that is one, right? And then there are so many other things. When you talk about staking, definitely, again, you have restaking, and then now you can actually put your LRTs, right, your liquid restaking tokens, and collateralize it and to loan even more USDC and USDT. Obviously, very controversial, debates out there of how safe this whole system is. But again, this is kind of what people are interested in right now, right? And we've got to evolve and adapt to it. What I'm most particularly excited about is, this whole notion of RWA, real world asset tokenization. And I think, many years later, 5-10 years later, when tokenization has become a very established thing, we're going to look back and you're like, all right, there's the first phase where blockchains and digital assets came up, right? And then the boom, and then there is a phase where, all right, then real world assets started to come in. Because when you think about all the digital assets that's right now, I don't know what the market cap is, 1 trillion, 1 trillion plus. And then you think about all the real world assets that's outside that is not on chain yet, like this is massive, right? And if we can find a way, whether it's, again, we have to look at regulatory policies, we have to look at innovation, we have to look at how people can attest and, verify that you really have control or ownership over this asset. If we can kind of solve all these things, there's so much opportunities, right, that can be tokenized. And you're talking about not just about having more assets and liquidity, you're also talking about things like making, certain illiquid, whether it's property or assets becoming more, liquid because you can fragmentize it and sell it to people. So I'm particularly excited about this and, tracking progress of it. Yep, there is. Wow, there's so many. Where do I begin? Um, so obviously, the biggest narrative that's happening right now is this whole notion of AI, and AI has always been a big topic ever since. Maybe I didn't say this before. I was actually a data analyst many years ago, and people were already talking about AI long ago, right? But I think what is exciting right now is that with blockchain, there are certain use cases that are really, I would say, practical. And it means that, blockchain actually offers a very good solution for some of the AI use cases. For example, this whole notion of AI agents, right? In the future, you may want to rely on AI agents to do stuff, right? Whether it's to, I don't know, manage your virtual identity in a metaverse or something like that, right? There's a lot of tasks that these virtual agents can do. But, as these people are somewhat representing you in some ways, you do want to make sure that, it's a decentralized market, right? It's not owned and controlled by one single big entity, right? That could change the rules anytime. And so this notion of decentralization has somehow, found its way into AI use cases. There's many more, of course, AI use cases we can talk about, and that's why, like you see, AI projects after AI projects starting to list and so on. But this is one big trend I think we're seeing. The other one is DePIN, right? Decentralized physical infra networks. We have seen that with grass networks, mobile, Helium, and so on. And I think I see it from another perspective, which is interesting. In fact, there are investors in Web2 which actually first saw value in blockchain because of DePIN, right? And to them, it's actually a change in how capital markets would work, right? Imagine having a mobile network, right, like Helium, and you have to start a network like this around the world. The traditional way would be kind of to, you have to raise a few $100 million, right? Subsidize people to say like, hey, can you kind of own this device and start providing service, and then after that we'll try to find revenue from it. Now it's entirely different, right? Now it's hey, you know what? Get your own device. I'm going to issue you tokens, right, with the promise of future value. Start providing the service, and you'll get the airdrops. And without having to raise that kind of money, you're suddenly able to create this business that otherwise would have, taken millions or hundreds of millions of dollars to create. And if you think about that, then you're actually leveling the playing field where great ideas now, even without the kind of support that or networks that you had in the past, you are able to create it today. So I'm a very optimistic person, but one thing I don't like when people talk about crypto is like, oh, it's just about, tokens pumping and dumping and so on. But if you look beyond that, there's a lot of changes that's happening, whether it's, the benefits of tokenization, the benefits of, DePIN and changing the capital markets. There's so many things that are happening. Yep. So innovation has been at the heart of what we're doing. And partly because there's a lot of problems to be solved, especially from a UX perspective. I do think like, the whole user experience and journey in Web3 can be better, and that's where we're kind of aiming to help improve. For example, I think this was like back 2-3 years ago, we already had features to help users, manage like gas fees or the lack of gas tokens in an easy way. So for example, if, I think I had a friend who said like they wanted to withdraw a token, right? But to do so, to do anything on chain, you actually need to have gas tokens. We actually kind of removed that. I think this was 1-2 years back, so it was pretty early, right? So that we could actually, if you're removing, say, token A, even though you don't have the gas token, you're able to do so because we would deduct it from the token that you have. And these are kind of simple innovations along the way to help to make the user journey better. We also have other kind of cool features like what we call rate packet. So, for example, if you want to send certain tokens, right, or payments to a friend just via a link that you can send on WhatsApp or anywhere else, we actually had that feature like 1-2 years ago. So again, it's really just to make that, the whole process facilitated to be really smooth. One thing that Bitget Wallet does really well is actually in the mobile trading experience. And I do want to spend some time on this because people often feel that, all right, it's a decentralized world, and therefore, like, the trading experience on a wallet has to be worse than what you get on a centralized exchange, right? I don't think so. And we've been trying to kind of, improve the parity here. Today, if you go to Bitget Wallet, right, and you search up a token, you're able to see candlestick charts. And you would think that that's normal, but go to most wallets today, right? And you don't even see that. You don't see the price movements. And therefore, you can't really make decisions on timing of your, buy or sell. Today on Bitget Wallet, not only the charts, right? You're able to see, we have a function called Smart Money. You're able to see, whales versus retail, like different segments of traders. What kind of tokens are they buying? What is the trade velocity that's happening? How many buyers or sellers in the last 1 hour or even the last 10 minutes? And so when you think about that, we are really just trying to make it easy for you to swap, but you have all the information that you need to access here. It doesn't have to be compromised, just because this is not a centralized exchange. Just to add on as well, I think it's important to be fast as well in delivering information, given how fast this industry is. For example, and one thing that is always happening is, people kind of falling for, I don't know, phishing attacks or keying in the wrong contract address. This thing shouldn't happen, And what we've done to make sure that our users don't fall for these things is, it always happens like this, right? You wake up and you see like, oh, there are tokens pumping or new categories happen. We had like ERC404 happen, right? Just like 2-3 weeks ago. And everyone was just going crazy over all the different ERC404 tokens. And then you start to search for contract addresses on Twitter, you start pasting, and you don't know whether it's true or not. So what we've gotten really good at is, one, we're really fast in kind of understanding the trends right now and responding to it. We have something called ranking bots, and we create them pretty fast. So the day that ERC404 became hot, for example, we already had a list of like, all right, these are the 5 or 6 tokens. And so people don't have to go search for the contract address, and maybe key in the wrong one. And we would already find like the correct routes to the right trading liquidity pools, so you don't have to worry about these things. And it's simple things like this, right, that are so important in educating users. Personal lessons. Let me see. So funnily, I came in. This whole phase of this cycle is actually pretty new to me. The last time I came in, was it 2020, late 2020s maybe, or mid 2020s. So it was around like the peak of the bull cycle. And so when the bear market came, right, just 6, 12, probably a few months after I joined, I was like, wow, this sounds and looks really bearish. But now having gone through like this whole complete cycle, and we're at the start of a bull market again. Well, at least I hopefully it's a really big bull market. One thing I've noticed is, projects that were really just, very resiliently building right throughout the bear market are starting to see the opportunities now. Obviously, I've also known a lot of projects that have given up, right? I know of people who have gone back to Web 2. There are many different, journeys here, but those who have built during the bear market are the ones that are kind of at least have a chance to win right now. And it's so important to build during the bear market. In fact, now you're responding to all kinds of different things, right? Whereas in the bear market, it's quiet. You can really focus and double down on like core important stuff. So if there's one thing I learned is really, be very clear on your priorities, but also don't give up, right? Wait for the cycle. Maybe 2 to start off, right? One is just be very curious. There's new things happening all the time. To be honest, like there's no one in crypto I know, right? Even like the best investors say that they know everything. It's impossible, right? There's so many new narratives that's coming up. The industry is so new. It's like the internet industry back, I don't know, in the 90s or so on. There's so many different white papers that are coming up. Look, most of them may not work out in the end, right? 5 years, 10 years later, they may not work out. But we are right now in a cycle where if you want to kind of tap on these opportunities, you probably need to know a lot of them and just be curious. The great thing about this industry is everything, right? At least most things are on Twitter. You don't have to sign up to like expensive, platforms and so on, unless you run really sophisticated analytics. But a lot of things, is in Twitter. You have to join the right groups, right? Kind of crypto is a very community centric industry. But we talk about decentralization, which also means that there's a lot of information and alpha that is in these groups. So if you want to be in this industry, you have to go find out these groups and be out there. The second one, I'm skipping my mind right now. Uh, Let me see. Sorry, I forgot what's the second point. I had a really good point that was on my mind right now, just now. Oh, I remember now. And it's always what I tell my team as well. If you're in a traditional company or internet company and they say like, all right, we need to scale this product, we need to really create a successful campaign, there's usually playbooks around it, right? For example, improve your SEO, all right, there's a playbook for it. In crypto, I don't think there is a playbook yet, right? For example, if you want to launch a token, if you want to create an AI decentralized project, if you want to start a L2 or L1 chain, there is no such thing as a standard playbook, which means, and I often tell people this is, do it your way, right? You can take reference and anything that you want, but don't limit yourself to what other people have done. Think out of the box and maybe you create an industry playbook or a standard that other people would follow. So definitely, if you're there at Paris Blockchain Week, come by our booth. So we're one of the main sponsors, and we're gonna have a big booth there as well. We also have a very big party on a boat, I heard. So do join us if you can. What I'm excited about, I mean, one is, it's a big event, and many people are going to talk about the future of crypto, and it's all the more exciting times now, right? When things are bullish, right? The ETFs are out there, and people are also starting to talk about regulations. I think it'd be good to participate in all of this. For Bitget Wallet itself, we'll have very exciting announcements, right, coming out in the next few weeks, and definitely we'll cross into the Paris Blockchain Week as well. So look out for that. I think it's going to be one of the most exciting announcements we've made.